welcome back to Morning, your marketing science wake-up call, where we talk all things media measurement and market mix modeling. I'm Will Marks, Head of Marketing Science at Mutinex. Let's kick off your Friday with a nice big number, 64%. That's the percent of B2B marketers who say they do not trust their organization's marketing measurement when it comes to making decisions. And personally, I think that's justified. Why? Because much of the time, their marketing measurement has to rely on either last click attribution type solutions, which have been proven to be inherently biased, or modeled approaches where the underlying workings are hidden away in a black box. At Mutinex, we believe this has to change. Every organization I talk to claims to be or want to be data-driven. But how can that be achieved if they're not actually trusting their data and their insights? To tackle this challenge, we have launched at Mutinex the industry's first open source MMM validation framework. And this is, as I say, open source and vendor neutral. The objective is to hold practitioners of media measurement to account on the accuracy of their outputs. I'm very lucky to be joined by one of the brains behind this, Joseph Kang, who heads up our model scale team at Mutinex, to tell us more. Welcome, Joe. Thank you so much for joining me. So firstly, before we dive into the details, let's take a step back. Why is this testing framework necessary? And why can't a model just either be right or wrong?
Yeah, thanks, Will. So yeah, with any model, whether it's a marketing mix model or any other type of model for that matter, it's not about whether it's right or wrong in that binary sense. It's more about like its ability to explain the world around us and how useful that can be to make decisions.
I guess anyone who's worked in modeling has probably come across that quote from George Box that all models are wrong, but some are useful. Take Einstein's theory of relativity, general relativity. It's a great model. I think it's one that we all enjoy using when we're predicting cosmic movements. But even that one's not going to do a very good job if we're trying to explain quantum movements. But if we bring ourselves back to the ground and talk about marketing, how does this apply to market mix models?
Yeah, so exactly. So with market mix models, let's say we see our sales go up by 20%, and looking at how to explain like how much of that came from your, let's say, TV campaign versus seasonal demand or your pricing strategy. Like the problem can be that there are multiple reasons or multiple explanations of how each channel contributed to that sale, which are equally plausible.
Okay, so if it's then not possible to know if a model is absolutely correct, then what criteria should we be considering if we're reviewing models and trying to distinguish if the accuracy of one model is better than the other?
Yeah, so this is definitely not an exhaustive list by any means, but at a bare minimum, we believe you should be testing for things like accuracy, stability, and robustness of the model. So accuracy is pretty straightforward. Like, can the model predict sales? If it can't even do this well, then how can we even trust its estimates around channel effectiveness? We measure this through things like in-sample fit, but more importantly through holdout validation. So this answers a question like, can the model predict periods that it hasn't seen, or has it just memorized patterns in the past that won't work going forward? Secondly, so we have stability, which is basically about consistency over time. How much do your channel ROI estimates swing when you add new monthly data? If a channel ROI jumps from, let's say, 2x to 5x just because you've added that extra month of data, that would be a pretty big red flag. You'd want estimates that evolve gradually as new information comes in, and not wild swings that make planning impossible. And finally, we have robustness tests. So these tests are whether small changes to input cause large output changes. The short answer is they shouldn't. And if you tweak, let's say, any of your input variables by like 1%, and suddenly your entire channel mix, reshuffles or shifts dramatically, then you could probably say that your model's overfitting to noise rather than finding real relationships. So a robust model in that sense shouldn't be impacted by minor perturbation or changes, and the core story shouldn't really change.
Sounds like a pretty comprehensive framework. Now, I know that this has been helping our own R&D teams when they're trying to qualify the benefits of new model versions. So why are we looking to make this public rather than keeping it as protected IP?
Yeah, so our philosophy behind this is to basically uplift the entire industry standards on model governance and testing. So basically, with an open source validation framework, we can kind of ensure that all the millions of dollars that are currently getting invested into marketing are being allocated into the right area and not going to waste. So without objective standards around this to keep the quality bar quite high, we basically risk losing trust in the technology altogether. And so we're trying to see this as like a rising tide lifts all boats situation, where basically everyone can kind of come together and properly evaluate and improve their models, so the overall standard of MMM goes up in the industry.
Great. So I guess then we want as many people using this framework as possible, which then brings up the question, how do people actually go about accessing it and using it?
Yeah, so it's available on GitHub, so completely open source. We can share the link down below after this. But basically, yeah, you can go into GitHub, look at the page. In the README, it'll have details on what it is, what sort of tests that it currently covers, how to install it, how to run basic commands, and so on. And also it'll have detailed documentation for any developers out there as well, which contains, how to run the actual tests and any kind of contribution guidelines as well. And I guess like a good way to kind of get an overall sense of the project is to go into the examples directory, and basically it'll show you, or have two kind of notebooks which show you how to use the two currently supported frameworks, Meridian and PyMC. And so, yeah, anyone can run this. It'll have the dummy data in there, and basically it'll show you how to load your data, load the model, and then run basically all the suite of tests behind it as well. So it's extremely simple to use. And like I said, it's not comprehensive. So we hope, industry get together and we have some good contributions coming through as well.
Nice. I guess the point of being open source is that it opens up doors for future evolution as more and more people get involved in this type of initiative. Fantastic. Thank you much, Joe, for coming onto the show this morning and sharing this. And also just a big thank you for all the work that you've personally been putting into this project and being one of the big brains behind it. So speaking on behalf of the industry and all modelers, thank you so much for everything that you've done.
Thanks. My pleasure, Will. Thanks.